So the fellowship consists of 2 pretty intensive weeks of training. And the first one is held at a retreat center in West Cornwall, Connecticut, where they participate in a series of discussions and interactive activities around leadership and communications. And if you're familiar with our program, you may have heard about the role plays that we do with journalists who work for the New York Times, the Washington Post, and other national media, where the fellows are interviewed and then critiqued about their work. The second week of our training is held in Washington, D.C., and the culminating activity there is for the fellows to take part in a mock hearing in the House Science Committee room. They prepare testimony over the summer, and they give testimony to current and former Hill staffers who play congresspeople and others who participate in hearings, and then they are critiqued about their work afterwards. They also, while they're in DC, meet with members of agencies, with their congresspeople, and with members of NGOs that they would like to work with or may already be working with. And then after the fellowship year, another really important aspect of the program is that we support the network of fellows. We currently have about 100, well, we will after this year have 150 trained fellows, and we support the network in a variety of ways. We've just created a new website with Web 2.0 networking features, which we hope is going to answer some of the needs that our fellows have for staying in touch with each other afterwards, and to communicate in real time online and easily. And we also hold reunion events every 3 years. So in 2005, the Leopold program moved to the Woods Institute for the Environment at Stanford. And the reason for that was that there was a real programmatic affinity between the 2 entities. They're both trying to get scientific knowledge, well, at Woods it's other things too, which I'll explain in a minute, but to get academic research infused into policymaking for better policy outcomes. So the Woods Institute had just been formed in 2005 to do essentially 2 things. One was to support what we call solutions-oriented research. Some of it's interdisciplinary, some of it's cross-disciplinary, but it's all about doing cutting-edge research and also incorporating that research into environmental solutions in the outside world. And the second part of the mission, of course, is all about getting knowledge into policy. So Woods is actually organized very differently from the Leopold program. We have 40 Woods faculty, 40 faculty who are drawn from across the 7 schools at Stanford. And we have 2 different kinds of research projects that Woods sponsors. Whoops, where did that go? I think these got out of order. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. So there are 3 very mature research collaborations. The 2 pictures that you see here are from the Food Security and the Environment program that are run by Wally Falcon and Roz Naylor, 2 Woods Fellows. And they are working on trying to solve global hunger and also eliminate environmental damage from agricultural practice. And then we have about 30 what we call environmental venture projects, and these are essentially startups of solutions-oriented research. The 2 photos that you see here are from a project in Tanzania run by Jenna Davis, who you see over on the right in the civil engineering department at Stanford, and she is looking into causes and solutions for diarrheal diseases in Africa. So the idea was, you know, when Woods and the Leopold program started talking, Woods said, you know, we'd love to host the Leopold program at Woods, and we'd also like to develop such a program for Stanford to help our researchers to get their solutions out into the world. And so we said, okay, great, we'll go ahead and do that. And we put together a pilot program that took place in 2008. And we essentially took pieces of the Leopold communications modules, which are the strongest modules, and we developed a set of workshops for Stanford faculty and for graduate students. And they were mildly successful. We had a couple of workshops that were very well attended and very well received, a couple of others not so much, and then we had a couple that we really worked hard to put together but they didn't quite materialize. So there had been some interviewing of there had been interviews done of our researchers to find out what they wanted, but we decided to go back and do a really full-blown needs assessment with them to try to determine better what exactly would meet their needs. So we interviewed a total of 62 people. It was a combination of faculty at different stages of their careers, early, mid, and senior. We talked to postdocs and graduate students, and we also talked to staff members who are in positions like mine who are supporting researchers at Stanford to do various things. And we found some interesting things. The first was that the difference in career stage was huge, that the needs and interests of our various audiences really did dictate a need to tailor things pretty closely to what people were actually working on and looking for. The second thing that we realized was that the research is also in very different stages. Unlike some of our Leopold Fellows who may already have projects and findings that are done, some of our research was very mature and ready to share, and others of it was just getting going. So there again, you see a significant difference in terms of need. A third thing we discovered was that there was a really strong desire among all our researchers to have more opportunities to network with each other. But the faculty wanted to be together to talk about best practices and to talk about some of the challenges of interdisciplinary research among themselves. The postdocs and graduate students also talked about how isolated they felt. Some of them were working in very small groups or off-site. And as they tried to forge a path in this new way of working, they really had nobody to turn to kind of share notes with and talk to. And then a fourth thing we found was that there was already a great deal going on campus, particularly in the communications area, that was similar to what we had been thinking about doing at Woods. So we went back and we asked ourselves, so knowing this, what really is our niche here? Where should we focus our efforts? And at that point, what we realized is that there really has not been a well-defined context for what academic environmental leadership is. If you want to become a CEO, for example, you can go to business school and you can find out what you need to know, the different subject areas, accounting and tax law and et cetera. You can find out what you need to do. You can run through management scenarios and role plays and so forth interactively to learn how to do the things that you need to do. And finally, you can learn how you need to be. There are business leaders who are on tap to be interviewed and to talk to, who you can kind of see as role models and talk to them and ask questions about how they've done what they've done and what their thoughts are. So in any context where you're doing leadership development, leadership is really not an abstract concept. It's actually a concrete system of leaders and followers and organizational factors that are working together in a particular context. So when we started looking at our environmental researchers, some of the questions that emerge are, what's the change that's needed here if I'm going to make the world better? What should my role in it be? Who else needs to be at the table? And so on.